Good morning, YouTubers. It is May the 27th, 2020. I am Sheila Texter. This is Sheila's one-stop coaching channel where I am a author, life coach slash minister. I'm an inspirational speaker, a motivational speaker, but always bringing it from the Word of God. Because truly, outside of the Word of God, any kind of motivation is not lasting. You might could work yourself up for a few weeks or maybe a few months, but a lasting motivation, a lasting thing to hold on to is going to come from the Word of God. But I'm saying to you this morning that welcome to my channel. Subscribe to my channel, share my channel, like it, comment on it. Just help me out here. Help me to get a little bit more exposure with these videos that I put out on Wednesdays and Fridays. And on Wednesdays, I talk about my book, Life After the Mistake. I kind of stay in the channel of being an author, my writing journey, and I talk about the book that I'm writing right now. And always on this channel, I will be, either giving writing tips about what I learned. By no means am I learned everything because I haven't. But I will be, sharing what I learned and things that I did and didn't do. But also, and then on Fridays, I will always bring a coaching tip because I'm a faith-based transformational coach. And in that, on Fridays, my goal is to help you find that passion, that purpose, that gift. And when you find it, my main goal is to help you awaken that desire and take action with it and move forward in that purpose that you feel like you have found. So this morning, I want to jump in here and talk about my book. I want to show y'all something. I'm going to have to move my thing down. It might blare, I'm not sure, but Life After the Mistake. I got a t-shirt made, I got the t-shirt, been there, done that, got the t-shirt. That's me. I got one. I have a friend, Sister Natalie Dixon, that does t-shirts, and she does different designs and different things, from cups to handkerchiefs to t-shirts, and I always kind of call on her to help me out with my little t-shirts sometimes that I just want to make something special just for me, and that's what I did with this. I wanted this t-shirt because when I actually get my book in, I'm going to do an unboxing video, a live Facebook video, and then I will transfer it to my YouTube channel. So be watching for that. Hopefully that will be within this next month. We should be able to hit the submit button today, and then we will be waiting on their approval to publish. And then once it's published, I think it takes about 2 weeks before a print is available. But I am just so stinking excited. Even though it's the coronavirus season and people have been sent home, but I'm starting to see a little daylight. People are coming out. People are coming out and doing some things, and I know we got to be careful, but we got to be careful with everything, whether it's that virus or some other virus or the flu or whatever. We've got to be careful. Whatever we do, we've got to be careful because there's all kind of things lurking around. Only God knows what we're eating and drinking. That's why the Bible tells us, to pray over our food and things like that. I feel like that, if you're sincere about praying over it, I believe sometimes there could be things in there to harm you, but God protects you from those things because you've said your blessing over your food. I really believe it makes a big, big difference. This morning, I've got a little section that I'm going to read out of my book. But as I got up this morning, I seen a post on Facebook. And a friend of mine she posted it kind of late, so I don't know, how many seen it. I seen a few likes and a few, hearts on it. Nobody had really commented, but I actually commented back, and she was talking about, she was writing a song, but she began to express about there's so much going on in the church world that years ago, that no longer is the days that we're not, no, let's see, how did she put it? Maybe long gone are the days where all we worried about was how short our sleeves was, or how high our split was in our skirt, or how short our skirt was. You know, even though I still don't take that stuff lightly, you know, I still believe that as godly men and women, you know, we should dress godly regardless. But I understood what she was saying. Long gone are those days where that's all we had to worry about. And that's one of the reasons that I feel like that I'm writing the book that I'm writing. That it is just, it's a very raw, personal, powerful book. But, you know, God didn't withhold nothing in the Bible. I mean, if you read those stories, I mean, they'll make your face blush, some of them, especially if you're trying to read it out in a congregation. But I don't feel like, you know, he withheld nothing. He let us know just how bad a person could go, how far a person could go, and how far and how bad what sin could do in your life. But she was saying that there's problems, and families are hurting, and marriages are hurting, you know, and they've got nowhere to go with it because nobody wants to talk about those things. It's too uncomfortable to talk about a pastor is beating his wife. A pastor just walked away from 20-something years of pastor and 30-something years of marriage, had an affair, and got a teenage girl basically pregnant. Nobody wants to talk about that kind of stuff. We just want to, like, oh my God, they've done something bad, and we're washing our hands of them and pushing them off the cliff, you know, and we're marking them as unused and unwanted. I'm just blown away at that, because that is nothing. That is nothing what Jesus did. That's nothing. If anything, Jesus went to where they were. Jesus went to Samaria that day. He said, I must needs to go to Samaria. I feel like with all my heart, and that I kind of wrote a story about that in this book. I believe with all my heart. He had an appointment that day with that woman. You know? So I'm just so blown away at how people set those people aside. Okay, I mean, I could sit here and I wouldn't dare name them, but there is probably about 10 assemblies in our area that I know affairs went on, from from just the laymen to the preachers to the pastors to the pastors' wives, you know. There was one just here recently, in the last couple of years maybe, a pastor's wife had an affair. And I can tell you right now, nobody is trying to help her. If anything, they're judging her, or they're like, you know, holding her at a distance, but yet they're, you know, physically they're not, but in their heart they are. And I'm going to tell you, as a person, as a human, you pick up on that. God was very merciful to me, and I am so thankful that I was able to get back on my feet, you know, and regain my footing. And that's kind of what my life after the mistake, new beginning, that's what my book is about. I tell a story about a lady named Sheila that had an affair in a church with a leader, basically. Now, he was not the pastor, but he was a leader in the church, and he held a position. And, you know, God restored that. God made restitution with that. You know, a lot of times when things like that happen, it's all hush hush. One has to part and the other one gets to stay, you know, and it's just never dealt with. It is never dealt with. No one is counseling them and saying, you know, what brought you to this? Why would you do that? You know, and I just feel like we would have less affairs. We would have less suicide in the church if we would take a little bit of consideration to go to these people. Like this lady said on Facebook, We're not even speaking into their lives. We're not trying to encourage them. We're not trying to say anything. It's like we just, hey, how you doing? And we hug their necks and we walk away, but we know they're drowning. We know they're drowning, and we do not help them. We do not reach out and help them because it is so sensitive. And I believe that after this, I really believe that after this virus, God is calling us to a whole different level. He is like saying, hey, the church people are hurting and they need help, and we need to address things that's uncomfortable. Now, I'm not saying go blow it all over the Facebook or blow it all over the place, but come together as organizations, leaders of the organization, taking that family, go into that family, whether they want counseling or not. Nathan went to David and began to call him out. And when David's like, oh, let's kill him, let's kill the man that took the only sheep that this poor man had, and Nathan says, thou art the man. I just wonder how many leaders and organizations, are going to these people and trying to counsel with them. It's not my place by no means, because I'm not in that position. But I totally agree with her on that. And then there's this crucial podcast that has come up in the last year, I think, maybe. They've been going about a year, a little bit over a year maybe. But they talk a lot of times on a lot of crucial things that people don't want to talk about in the church. But I'm telling you, you wouldn't have so many people isolated. You wouldn't have people killing themselves if they felt like that they could come and talk to somebody and say, hey, I've got these feelings. I've got these temptations. I need counseling. I need more than just prayer and fasting here, And don't tell me just to go pray and fast. I need to be able to know that this is not abnormal. There's not something wrong with me, that this is just a flesh thing, and that, with some guidance and some prayer and scriptures and counseling and someone loving them and checking on them and reaching out to them, I believe sometimes we pull people out of the pit that they have gotten themselves into. And I'm going to read this right quick out of my book. There is like a section, part 2, that's called From a Different Set of Eyes. And what I did is I've just kind of like, I can't think of the word right now, but I kind of narrated like maybe what the betrayer would say and what the betrayed would have been saying in this book. And I kind of like, I can't, like I said, again, I can't think of the word that I'm looking for right now. But anyway, in this section, this is the betrayer. This is the man in my book. And this is the section that I kind of, like I said, I just kind of went in with great liberty and not saying that any of this is facts. But at the same time, I do know the story. And so I know that it can be facts, if you know what I mean. But I'm going to have to leave my glasses on, even though they kind of blare, so I can read this. But like I say, I'm just going to read this little section. It's difficult to think logically when we're at a low point and temptation beckons us with that escape. Perhaps we don't want to think at all. I started to avoid all those in authority in my ministry. I knew my elders knew something was wrong. They just couldn't put their finger on the problem. It was like I lived for the next fix, the next meeting where she would confide in me, trust in me to help her find resolve in God. I saw her brokenness in those days. I was disgusted at the man who would destroy a lady as special and as fragile as her. But here's the good part. But it wasn't my place. It wasn't my place to save her. It wasn't my place to sweep her off her feet. It wasn't my place when she was married. It wasn't my place after God gave me a family of my own and a responsibility to be a leader and a pillar in our church. That's from part 2, the betrayer. It's like they're not really chapters. They're like just little, I don't know what you would call them, but I have a part 1, part 2, and part 3. But I'm going to get off here today because I'm over 15 minutes and I don't want to do that. I don't want to go over 15 minutes. So there you go. Sometimes people cheat to escape. Sometimes people are ashamed of what's going on in their lives and to escape. Now some people will go to alcohol. Some people will go to pills and drugs and do different things. But it's not unusual. It's not unusual for those people to escape by having an affair or, cheating on their spouse with another married person, and a lot of times within the confines of the church. Again, we'll talk about this again next week, or I may bring some of this on Friday with my coaching thing about the mindset of how sometimes we can fail in that area. But I'm going to get off here today. Like I say, subscribe to my channel, share it, comment, like it, help me get the word out there. Follow me on my book journey because this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. So y'all have a great rest of the week. I hope y'all had a great Memorial Day. We really enjoyed ours, and thankful that that God allowed us to get out a little bit. Thankful for that. Thankful for being back in our church. So I'm gonna get off here because now I'm 17 minutes. Y'all have a great day, and I will see y'all Friday morning with a motivational, inspirational coaching tip.